And we are back with another episode of From the Raptors. Sam and I here recording on Saturday, April 24th, and we're here with Josue Pavone of CLNS Media. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. What's up, fellas? It's a beautiful day out. It's a good time to podcast. Afternoon.
Right
Let's
There you
do it.
go.
in the middle of the
Exactly.
day, right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
No, I like it. It's a nice Saturday out. Got my snapback on. Got my Nike tee on. It's beautiful out.
Feeling good, feeling good. It's finally not raining anymore in Massachusetts. It's they're finally
Dude.
decided to have some springtime. Finally decided to be spring instead of 30 degrees. So that's always a plus. But Celtics 1-2 over the past week. I know, Sam, that's not the result you wanted. I can't imagine it's anything we all wanted, but lost, and that's lost to the Bulls. But they managed to have a really good game against the Suns. I would argue one of their better overall games of the season, especially the way Kemba Walker played. But yeah, just Josue, initial reaction, sorry, to that Nets loss. I mean, it was tough because they were so close, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought it had the makings for them to go out there and beat them. And listen, people were saying, and I'm one of those people too. I was like, this is a good way to send a message. And I'm saying that whether Kevin Durant was playing or not, like, this was a good opportunity for them to send a message in the sense that, hey, we're not quite there, but we're coming. We're on to you guys. Yeah, we don't have Kemba Walker. We don't have Jaylen Brown, but we still won this game, right? I'm saying this hypothetically because that's what should have happened, right? And
That's
then
right. It should have
you
happened.
get exactly. And then you get the gift of Kyrie Irving having a poor shooting night. Like, the Celtics at this point of the season, and we've been saying this for at least the last 2 or 3 weeks, it feels like, but we really mean it this time, right? We're reaching the final stretch here. Like, they cannot afford to just put up that kind of effort. It's just not a good sense of where they are. It's not a realistic representation of that corner that they turned. And whether people want to say, oh, well, that was just a 10-game stretch, or yeah, but they weren't completely healthy. Yeah, but at least they had some attitude, At least the energy was there. At least they showed some form of, you know what, we're not going to take it anymore, Yeah, we hear you guys. We hear you media members out there talking about us. Good. Like, I love that, Some people were like, oh, well, the media shouldn't be, it shouldn't take that for you to get focused. Like, whatever it takes, I don't care. Just do it, because we know this team is talented enough. Sure, they're not, up to par with the Nets or the Philadelphia 76ers, but when they're shorthanded, I thought the Celtics had a great opportunity to send that message.
Yeah, I did too, and I'm really bummed. Going into the week, I wanted them to finish 2-1. They went 1-2, and at the end of the week, I'm saying they should have went 3-0 because they were in both the games they lost,
right?
And they just didn't execute down the stretch. Even though they did a good job yesterday of getting themselves back into the game, they just kind of ran out of gas at the end. But Monday against Chicago, that was just kind of a rough game. Tatum was off, but he found other ways to contribute, and he's done that lately. Even though he was off on Thursday, he was contributing other ways. So I think that's big for him. But like you said, the media really pissed him off. How pumped were you to be involved in that with Marcus Smart?
A little bit. I don't know if all of my co-hosts felt the same way though. I feel like they were
really.
They were like, I mean, they were pumped inside, but they weren't saying much on social media. They were kind of just like, yeah, Marcus calling us out. Whoa, crazy stuff. I guess he does watch. I guess something about a man telling you to shut the fuck up that just doesn't sit well with some people. Me personally, that's part of our job, man. We're supposed to, like that's how we're calling you out because it's warranted, right? I mean, whether it's the fans that are tuned in and agreeing with us, or at least the back and forth, the conversation, we can have that conversation because we know how talented this team is, and when they're not playing up to par, we got to pull their card. That's part of our job.
Yeah, it's the player's job to play, and it's the media's job to analyze that play. That's quite literally how it works. So, I mean, you say how it feels, and hey, the fact that Marcus Smart even recognized you guys, I think that's pretty cool.
I would be so pumped.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I would be telling everybody, he listens to us. He said, he told us to shut the fuck up.
I mean, I look at it as, there's not a lot of programs where you can get that realness, right? That sort of talk where we're gonna call players out and of course back it up. And I think Marcus Smart understands that and knew that. You know what? Yeah, we've been slacking, but put some respect on my name because I got a resume. That's the defensive resume that he has. He should defend himself that way. So I like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, not that he would ever listen to my ass, but I was on Jason Tatum's ass earlier this season with some pretty harsh words when he was like,
But
I
maybe he
remember
did,
vividly
man.
too.
You never know. Maybe he was watching.
He just got an inhaler.
True,
Don't
he just got an
don't
inhaler
hype
and then he
Jack up.
pumped back up. But after,
Yo, Marcus strikes me as the kind of person like the negative is going to motivate him more than the positive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if CLNS media is that negative media, if we're that platform to feed him some motivation, so be it. You know.
there
And
you
he
go.
has been excellent,
Oh, yeah.
really, since
He's been great.
since the
that.
team has turned the corner. He's
Since
been a
we called
huge
him
part
out,
of that.
Since he called him
Or
out.
since he called us
Exactly.
out, right?
Yeah,
He's been
I don't
locking
know.
everybody up. Big defensive week for Marcus.
Booker,
Yeah.
Giannis, MPJ.
I thought the second half was unfortunate because that third quarter, we've seen this so many times throughout the course of the regular season, man. They get themselves in that double-digit hole, and they right when they're about to climb out of it, it's like, oh, there's only like 30 seconds left. Damn it! Like it's happened so many times, man. Like it's got to the point where I'm not impressed anymore. You know, it shouldn't have come to that. And Marcus Smart as a playmaker, like that's a part of his game that's really going to help this team down the stretch, elevate this team. You know, I thought that the turnovers were frustrating. You know, Marcus was part of that. I thought not seeing Peyton Pritchard earlier in that third quarter, I thought that was a problem. Like, listen, if Kemba Walker's not playing, fine. If Brad Stevens doesn't want to start Peyton Pritchard, I'm fine with that. But he has to play a lot more than what we saw against the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, against a team like the Brooklyn Nets, why not give the rookie that kind of rep? You know, get those reps in against top tier talent, and you don't have to, you know, you're not sitting behind Kemba Walker. You know, sure, okay, you're not starting, but we know he's capable of controlling that offense and limiting those turnovers. Like that goes a long way for this team, especially against a team like Brooklyn. They got shooters, you know. It's not just about those three best players. That's a full team. That is a full squad. They have a bench, you know, like that's it. It was honestly, it was a huge dose of reality for the Celtics what happened Friday.
And Pritchard was hot last night too. It's not like he was having
Excellent
an off game
game.
and Brad's got to trust him. He put up 22 points. I'm looking at it right now. 8 of 12 shooting, 6 of 7 from 3. Throw him in there. Throw him to the Wolves. We've seen that he can do it. It's not like he's some unproven guy. It's not like you're throwing Tremont Waters out there like he'd had to against the Bulls. You know, no hate on Tremont Waters, but
Yo, he threw out Carson Edwards on Friday. He was like, "Listen, guys, I'm not messing around. All right."
That's when you know.
Said
I'll
I'm
put
all
Taco in a second. Don't mess with me. All right. Like he was like, he took it as like, if you don't want to come back and win this game, you got like 3 minutes to make this a close game before I pull out Tatum and everyone else. You know, it was like a blend of Tatum and Carson Edwards. It was like, I'm about to wave this white flag if you guys don't get it together. So.
That was ugly. I just realized the Celtics shot worse from the field than from 3 against the Nets. They shot barely. It was 40.4% from the field and 40.5% from 3, but that is still worse technically. Point one is worse, but they only got contributions realistically from Tatum, Smart, and Pritchard. No one else cracked 10 points, which is kind of absurd, and that's not going to win you games. Meanwhile, Brooklyn is getting 19 from Jeff Green, 20 from Harris, 15 from Bruce Brown, and 13 from Blake Griffin. I know that pissed Sam off.
Yeah,
I hate when role players have good games, man. Especially Kyrie was
one
off.
Of those players this team could use, man. All those guys you just mentioned.
Yeah, they're all quality players, and they would all probably get very quality minutes on the Celtics bench rotation, which is why it's frustrating because they're all good enough to get those minutes. But in Brooklyn, it's just the perfect offense for those guys to thrive, which is why I think Grant Williams will be a lot better when Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown come back. But I digress. But we can get into that later. But
he better be.
Yeah. Hey, I will forever and always defend Grant Williams. Sam knows this. I no matter when, I'll admit when he has a bad game. Last night was rough. Last night was ugly. The Bulls game was ugly.
It's been a pretty brutal
when he
week
has
for
the
Grant,
opportunity.
to be honest.
His year's been ugly, man. His year's been rough. What's going on? Like he took a step back. He was better last year. How's that possible?
It's because he's not in the same role. Last year he was getting almost exclusively small ball center minutes. This year he's played some 3-ball, which he just cannot do that. He is not built to play the 3. I'm sorry. He cannot keep up. And when he has been in these, lineups, in my opinion, at least, with either Tristan Thompson running the 4 where they can just be super physical or in small ball 5 lineups, I think he's been infinitely better. And I think that's where he's got to play. And it's just a matter of finding those matchups for him. And otherwise, I guess he just stays on the bench. But you can use him and really, really use him in those lineups. And Brad still obviously trusts him. Brad still throws him in at the end of every game. So I don't know. That's my defense for Grant Williams. I'd love to hear your
Well,
thoughts
no,
on the
I mean,
season as a
I'm
whole,
not
but-
saying I'm tough on the kid just because
Oh,
of what we
yeah,
saw
yeah,
last year. You know, I want him to
course.
take another step, and yeah, I mean that's a good point what you just made. But like, I think what frustrates people about Grant is the fact that he has the talent to give you consistency. Like that's what it is. Not like, oh, why is Brad playing this guy? I don't want to see him at all. No, that's not it. Like you have to play him because his flexibility on defense, what he's able to do for you and switches. That 3-point shot when it is falling, the volume of that shot, I think, is a strong emphasis that Brad's made this season. And I think it's at some point, there's some parts of his game where it's like he's uncomfortable to shoot that three. And I feel like he's being forced to. And sometimes he overthinks sometimes. And when you get good Grant Williams minutes, you're like, man, like if this was the norm, that's a great weapon to have off your bench. It's just the consistency that drives me nuts.
Yeah, he's been really good defensively, which is like we say why he's been out there. It's just
Oh,
tough.
man.
Like he missed the
Like-
wide open layup last night on the break. He did in his
and I didn't even
defense.
care he made the
came
three
down
afterwards.
next
I was like,
possession, drilled a
no,
three.
it doesn't count, Grant. I'm still mad at you for that one.
that
That's
one
a
was
momentum
ugly.
shift.
That made me so sad because I was like, yes, he can finally make an impact. And it just didn't drop, and
On ESPN,
uh,
you hate to
it
see
was
it.
sad.
National TV.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I forget. I
national
never
TV.
watch them national.
They're
Unless
on
it's like
national
they switch
TV
it
on
to-
Sunday again. ESPN again on Sunday.
Is it
which
on?
is real
Oh,
tough.
that it's definitely
Yeah.
not gonna be local. If
It's the ESPN curse, man. They're probably gonna lose.
Yeah.
Probably gonna lose.
Mhm.
Remember
Also
the New Orleans game? Wasn't that?
Oh, if they
ESPN?
lose,
Oh,
if they
God,
lose
yeah.
Sunday,
man.
I'm gonna be so mad.
That was
Like,
painful.
I'm gonna be
Oh,
like
geez.
irate. I hate when they drop games to bad teams and games that are winnable. Especially right now, they're fighting in the standings with teams
Yeah.
that all of a sudden decided they wanted to start winning the same time the Celtics did,
Yep,
which is even
yep.
more annoying.
They're
When
like, yo, you
Celtics
see
rip
the
off
Suns are
6
losers
in a
right
row
now?
and make
We got
no
a shot.
ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Knicks are
they're
8-2
in,
in the last 10.
they're in danger of playing tournament territory. It's
Yeah.
not good. Not a good spot.
Only 2.5 games above the Hornets, I believe, right now, and they play the Hornets twice in the next week, so they could really blow things up if they start to suck. But I'm confident. I think they should be able to handle the Hornets. LaMelo Ball might be back though, which is interesting to say the least.
I think we might see him for the next one though. Maybe I don't know about tomorrow. We'll see though. He'll
Yeah.
definitely. I think he'll for sure be back for next time these two teams meet.
Mhm. No Hayward though, which is just so ironic. I mean, like it sucks. He just can't stay on the court. He was so good this year too. He just for the life of him.
A
just
part of me
can't.
feels like he's gonna be like a late game, like he's available, and he's just gonna drop 35. Just drop
Just to bully
35, like a crisp 35. 70% from the floor, like just a thorough game. Just like all
Just
right,
to bully the Celtics.
yeah, just to mess this up, and then he's gonna go back on the injury report.
He'll tweak his hand in the final seconds as they're winning.
Yeah,
It's rough, but
Yeah,
He's
he'll,
like, yo, we
he'll
gotta
do like
send
a
the Celtics to the
celebratory
play-in
fist
tournament.
bump, and he'll hit the stanchion, and
Yeah,
he'll break
yeah.
his hand.
Oh man, poor Gordon. Poor Gordon, having a great season. Not an all-star, but I mean, he could have been. Another thing, Celtics had the opportunity to wear home whites last night, but they had the banners scheduled. I know Sam is very passionate about the 11 and
I am.
home white jerseys.
I've had
I
enough
mean,
of Nike and their
that can't be a
disrespect for
coincidence.
tradition.
That
What
can't
is
be.
it? Is it 11 and 0?
They're
11
11
and
0, and
Never
every
lost.
other jersey they have every other jersey they have a sub 500 record in, which is like, it's crazy.
I don't want him
That's
to wear them
great.
every day. Just wear them when you play at home. It is really not that it's not rocket science. You did it for
Yeah.
what is it? 1946. It's 2021. 75 years you've been doing it for. Come on.
My guy Gary Washburn from the Boston Globe, he's been complaining about this for like 2 seasons in a row, man. Like he still does it. He still does it on Twitter. He's just like, look, you don't have to do it every time, but can you just do it once? Just wear the regular whites at home.
It's even harder to be a fan of the road greens. They never wear those ever. When's the last time they wore them, Jack? Can you look it up?
I think they're phasing them out. I think they low key don't like those because you're right. Yeah. The white ones, I mean, they obviously like the banner version better, which grew on me, by the way. At first I was like, these are weird, but now I like
I don't
them.
mind them.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but not every night.
But the classic white, that's the best. Even growing up, like that was the jersey to have. I think one year the Paul Pierce jersey was the most sold or most purchased out of all NBA jerseys, not just in Boston, but like it was just that was a popular one. The white with the when the Nikes were making them, the stitched.
We need to do our part and just buy traditional jerseys. Like we need to
I
start
know.
campaigning for fans.
I
Like
really think it's up to the players, man. And the fact that we don't see them and it's been like a couple of years, I'm like, the core of that team just doesn't fuck with him. I think that's what it is.
I'm trying to find the last time the Celtics wore icon. It was the Knicks game, April 7th. It's the last
You know what's
time
gonna happen if they don't go back to them? It's gonna be like, oh, those are like the Pierce Garnett era jerseys. It's like, no, this is the Celtics classic jerseys. Like, don't try to throw back these, okay? Don't slap on like a 2010 a year on the bottom of it. Be like, this is a hardwood classic. Like, no, these are still in style.
That's rough. Yeah, the last time they wore the green, like normal greens, was April 7th. Next time they do it is May 5th. So they're gonna go a whole month without the plain green.
Whole month without road jerseys. Oh my God!
Wait. They planned these ahead like that? I had no idea. I figured it was like week by week or
bi-weekly or something. Too, and then Jack showed me this site.
Yeah, lockervision.nba.com. It's planned. The whole season's planned out before the season even starts, which is why they don't make the decision. But I'm trying to find how many more times to wear home whites.
I think it's only one. I think somebody said only one more time.
Nope, they got at least two.
They got two.
Two
more wins.
That's
they
two
got
wins.
it.
There you go.
Well, they're wasting one against the Thunder on Tuesday, and then
that's fine. That's fine. Juice the numbers.
They got to. Someone's got to get these numbers to them at the end of the season, so they know the deal going into the playoffs. Like,
they got to know, right?
Don't use them all the time, but for the playoffs, you're gonna need a couple of these.
That's one thing. I feel like
free cards.
In the playoffs, I feel like they go more traditional. Like before Jack showed me the site, I thought there was a certain amount of times in the year they had to wear like the Nike like special jerseys, and they get them all out of the way. But like last year, they didn't wear the weird font jerseys at all.
Those like old English letters.
Yeah, they didn't wear those at all. The black jerseys are fine. I don't mind if they wear those. They're just an alternate. Like they're the third alternate, not 4 or 5.
Yeah, I don't mind the black one.
Yeah. And so they do wear those in the playoffs. I feel like they're more traditional in the playoffs, but it's getting ridiculous. I don't. How many more years does Nike's deal with the NBA, Jack? Can you find that?
Oh yeah, I can do some quick Nike deal with.
How many more years?
I did see something though that's interesting. So fun fact, before I looked it up, May 15th, the Celtics play the Timberwolves, right? Second to last game. Celtics are wearing their icon jerseys, so they're like normal green ones. And the Timberwolves are wearing their lime green statements, so that's going to be horrendous to watch. That's about to be absolutely impossible. It is,
but I mean, it's distinctly different colors. Even though they're both technically green,
yeah.
I mean, it is like night and day.
Yeah,
different green.
Nike's deal with the NBA. 8-year deal signed in 17-18. So what? That 17-18, 18-19.
3 years in?
19,
4 years in?
I was gonna say this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Four more after this.
By the time they're done with them, the Celtics gonna be wearing like red.
Because once Nike signed, that's when it was like 5 different jerseys every year. Like for every team.
Sponsors.
Yeah, and then sponsors kicked in, right?
I don't mind the sponsors. Sponsors.
I don't either.
I didn't think I'd get so used to it. You know, I'm so used to it now.
It looks weird without it now. Like if you like go back and watch like games from when Isaiah was playing with the team.
Yeah, it looks like something's missing.
Still say Boston on the front with the green ones, not the ones like that say Celtics, like the Pierce and Garnett ones. It looks so weird without the patch.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember which team had the funny sponsor? It was the Warriors. I think they had OK Cupid. That was funny.
I know the OKC. I think.
Was that OKC?
I know the Clippers had Bumble. The Clippers had Bumble right here, which was hilarious.
Bumble, that's right. That's right. And then I forget what it was out in Cali. I want to say they got pretty far, but everyone knew there was no way. Pornhub put in a bid, and they were trying to get their thing on.
No shot.
And everyone kept thinking they were going to get outbid. But they got really far, and so finally someone nipped it in the butt. Like, yo, it doesn't matter how much you offer. You're not being sponsored. We're not going to sponsor you. I mean, we can't have you sponsor us. Like, no, it's not okay.
I have a list of all the
everywhere would buy the Pornhub jerseys. I'm telling you right now. Like,
yo, that would be selling off the rack.
Yeah. What team did they put a bid in? Did they know, or was it just random?
I'm trying to remember, man. This is between right before this season. I want to say one of the Cali teams.
I think the Clippers have like a new sponsor. That it's not Bumble anymore. It's something else.
I think it was the Clippers.
Yeah. I can
definitely wasn't the Warriors. It was. I want to
have it up right here. Clippers had Honey, and now they have Then they had Bumble, and I don't know what they have now because Bumble says 18 to 2020. Yeah, currently it's Honey, but it used to be Bumble, is what they're sponsoring.
Okay, I think it was after Bumble. I think you know what? That's what it was. Because they were like, "Oh, you guys are open for Bumble? Maybe we're not too far." It's like, no, it's a completely different thing.
Same
dating
area.
site compared to what
porn,
you guys are doing
wait a
over there.
second.
Like, no, it's different.
What is it?
I found something else. I don't know if this is the same thing, but Bang Bros reportedly bid $10 million to rename Miami Heat Stadium to the Bang Bros Coliseum or the BBC, which would be so outrageous.
That's 100% the story. I just completely fumbled that. That's what it was. Yes,
that's crazy.
It was. I thought it was the jersey, but it was the arena, right? They wanted to name the arena that.
Wow, that'd be insane. It would have been the BBC arena. That's crazy.
Well, I'm telling you right now, the jerseys would sell like nothing. If Pornhub is watching this, which would be quite the opposite, because usually we're the ones that would watch Pornhub, but they would make a lot of money, whoever they would sponsor. They would fly like Minnesota. Minnesota needs people to buy their jerseys. Bang, right there.
I know. But then there's just gonna be that one kid being like, "Dad, what's Pornhub?"
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That would never that sponsorship done.
I'm trying to look through at the weirdest sponsors. Bumble is definitely the oddest one I see so far. I don't recognize some of these. I see PayPal. That's normal.
Someone had was a weird one for me.
I thought OkCupid was one. Maybe that was just Bumble.
Yeah, I don't see OkCupid in any of these. I have everybody Sharecare, Vistaprint, General Electric. I won't read them all, but I've never heard of some of these things. Like, what is Zenny Optical? That's the Bulls one. That's I'd never even heard of that.
I know the Kings have like blue, like the almonds. I think
blue
there's
diamond, the almonds, which is very funny. Wizards have Geico, which I didn't realize, but I guess that's cool. I mean, the best.
The Wizards have some like they always had like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a very probably remember that they had Capital One Arena and like their sponsors are always like A-list sponsors.
Yep. There you go. And then I just saw, the best sponsor is Disney. I mean, you got the Magic. That's match made in heaven. I mean,
that was the first, I think. I think there was like the first batch of teams that started doing it. And they're like, Disney was like, come on, guys. Obviously.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be there. But, moving away from sponsors, I don't know how we got tracked down that rabbit hole. But
yeah, that's quite a segment.
Yeah. Celtics last night, 19 turnovers. Nets beat them 32-0 on the fast break. I don't know if that's ever happened. Like how does something like that happen, Josue? How do you get beat 32-0 on the fast break? No fast breaks. That's just like what happened for the Celtics. Like, what's going on? The Grant ruined their one chance, I guess, to get in that.
You know what? I want to say another box score has them having 3 because Pritchard hit one towards the end. That was technically a fast break, but still, it's inexcusable. I mean, I think again, it's the effort, it's the energy. We saw them revert back to that same stagnant and one step behind and coming out of halftime. We're not quite awake yet. Oh wait, we're down by 20. Okay, now we're going to come full force in the fourth quarter, and that's exactly what happened. It's too late in the season to see the Celtics still have that pattern or have those habits. I like when Brad Stevens puts in someone like Carson Edwards. At least in that instance, or at least I remember before. He'll bench guys if you're not playing up to par. Where was Shemi? Shemi started that game, and we didn't see a whole lot of Shemi by this fourth quarter because there was a reason for that. So I like when Brad does stuff like that, but I also I scratch my head when I'm looking at someone like Peyton Pritchard and it's just like too little, too late. And maybe if he puts him in early in that third quarter, maybe the Celtics still lose this game. But I just don't understand the kind of message he's sending to that rookie right now, or at least to the rest of the team. Because the Celtics need to take care of the ball. They need to be careful against teams like Brooklyn or any playoff team, really, for that matter. And if the offense is not that crisp, if it's not to the point where when the stars are on the bench that you're worried like we used to be, like that's where the Celtics are again. And to see them revert back to that, it's frustrating. But we'll see if they can bounce back against Charlotte for sure.
Hopefully they do. I mean.
Hopefully.
It is a day game, like we said earlier. It's been a cursed. Besides the Denver game, it has been a cursed time slot for the Celtics this year. They've been dominated for the most part. I mean, they got blown up by the Knicks. I remember when they were running a 5-game win streak. By the way,
I had to watch that game. It was
Yeah.
awful. I was.
Oh, so
I think that was one of the first. No, that was. I think that was the first game or the second game. For me to be back at TD Garden, and it was like, man, is this really happening?
that was the start of the downhill for the Celtics, in my opinion. I think that was
Kemba's first game back, by the way, which
Yeah,
makes no sense.
Poor guy.
that's right.
Kemba's been great lately, though. I mean,
He has
shout out
been great.
Kemba. He's been nothing short of amazing when he can actually, play.
Yeah, what do you think
The
about
only thing.
that? Are you getting sick of him with the back-to-backs? I know a lot of people around the media are, Boston radio in particular, even though a lot of those guys' opinions don't matter, but it has been a complaint I've heard quite a bit.
I'm not. I don't dislike it because I just think the playoffs he's so important for this team. You can make a case that he's the most important player for the Celtics in terms of how far they go because when it comes to guys like Jalen and Tatum, I mean, I'm not concerned. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think it's them. I think is how much can you get from Kemba? And I'm not saying that Kemba needs to put up 30 a night like we saw against Phoenix. I don't think that's the case. I just think when he's consistent, when he's blending in his offensive attack with attacks to the rim, along with those 3-point shots, just getting the ball in the paint and being a playmaker, a facilitator. I mean, like when he's on his game, this team is completely different, and that's when you could see them, hold their weight against a team like the Philadelphia 76ers or the Brooklyn Nets. I still think that, regardless, yeah, sure, the Nets swept this team, throughout the course of the regular season, but in the playoffs, I mean, I still think that the Nets are the favorite. The Philadelphia 76ers, those the two teams are the favorites. But if there's one team in the East that can knock off either one of those teams, the Boston Celtics. I mean, if you're seeing a Kemba Walker that we saw at least, let's say, I don't know, the first round of the playoffs or last year, or just what we've seen throughout this past week or so, I mean, it's just frustrating because the 2-week span when there wasn't a back-to-back, he had to sit one of those games. But before that, we saw how effective he can be, and without any breaks. And it wasn't just about, he's not playing the second night of back-to-backs, but I just want to see consistency, and we saw that. So I'm okay with that. And I knew that 2-week span is going to be really important because it's going to give us a good indication of where he is physically. So I think he's good. And then for him to come back from that rested game where I was like, man, it would have been nice to keep him going and have him through the whole full 2 weeks without missing a single game. He gave you a 30-point gem against the Phoenix Suns. Hey, the Phoenix Suns are 2 games out of first place in the Western in the Wild West. Yeah. Right. They needed that. The Western Conference, sure, the Suns were on the second night of a back-to-back, but Kemba Walker, that's why they rest him. That's why for performances like that. And because there's no back-to-backs in the postseason, why put him through it? Why put his body through something that he doesn't even have to be physically prepared for in a few weeks when the playoffs start?
Yeah. Both of us agree. We were talking about it yesterday, and I mean, obviously, playoffs number one priority. And it's funny. I went out after work yesterday with a couple of my friends, and I had to explain to one of my friends, open his eyes a little bit about when the Celtics are healthy, how dangerous they actually are. So you got your starting five: Kemba, Marcus, Jalen, Jason, and Rob Williams, and then your best 5 on the bench, which you won't even need all 5 in the playoffs. Usually 8 is Pritchard,
8 or 9.
Langford, Fournier, Parker, and Tristan Thompson. So that's compared to what you had a couple months ago is worlds better in terms of depth, I think.
Yeah, I think to Danny Ainge's credit, I thought he did a good job of consolidating those pieces on the bench, right? Those 3 or 4 pieces where it's just man, everyone's giving you a little bit of something, but it's just how do you put this together and get the most? How can you compile this into one guy? And it was tough to see the Celtics part ways with Daniel Tice. I was a big fan of Daniel Tice. I thought that he gave that strength to the starting unit. Obviously, a locker room guy, very popular guy. We saw how much he was embraced when he came back as a member of the Chicago Bulls. So, but that's just the price you have to pay when the 2 free agent signings that you had just didn't pan out, or at least one of them didn't, and you were left missing. Whether it was what people want to say about the Gordon Hayward trade, whether it's that or whether it's you could have got something after that. Regardless, I think he did a good job of making up for that on the fly. You brought in a veteran who really wants to prove himself, who give you some offense in Jabari Parker. he's dynamic and that he can play the 5, he can play the 4 for you. You have him for another year. That was really important. And you use your exception, your player level exception on Evan Fournier. You didn't use the whole thing. Yeah, he's on the top of your list of someone that you have to sign during the offseason, but you gave the Celtics a viable piece and someone who could score 20 points, a shooter, someone that can really move the ball as well. You know, I think that's a part of his game that's going to really help this team. Almost a little bit of what we saw from Gordon Hayward, but obviously I think Hayward's just a better player overall. But that's the kind of weapon that this team needed. I think addressing that wing position was so important before the playoffs, and he did that. And I think
they got two of them.
Yeah,
Parker and
got two of them, and then you got a backup piece on Cornette. Don't sleep with Cornette now. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Jack,
I'm not saying
Cornette
Cornette's going to be someone that can give you plenty of minutes in the postseason, but he's a backup plan. You know, he's a backup guy if shit goes down. And also, it's easy to forget that Robert Williams, he's a big part of this as well. So his health is going to be important for this team.
Are you concerned about him at all?
I am. Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I really am. You know, he was reaching that part. He was reaching the point of his career where he was making scouting reports. You know, we saw that coming, right? That's what happens. Even before he was a starter, we all knew that's going to happen because ESPN is talking about him. He's on, you know, he's his highlights, his dunks, and everything on both ends of the floor. Teams pick up on that, and you saw how opposing teams switched up their defenses. We saw what Joel Embiid did to him, man. I mean, I think Robert Williams just now, like his nightmares just ended. Because Joel Embiid, like you remember after that, he had a rough stretch of games.
Yeah,
and
he was missing
I
dunks.
Think that was the testament of teams just preparing themselves for him. You know, he made the scouting reports, and then now you adjust. You know, and I think he was going to do that, but then he got hurt, so it's a setback. Hopefully, we see him soon.
Mm-hmm. Are you worried about Jalen too? Because I mean, that injury doesn't sound great. Brad said it wasn't severe, but still.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great, but I'm not too worried just because he's considered day to day. I think if it was something that the Celtics are really worried about, that they would take more time with him because of the playoffs. You know, we're about 3 weeks away. Was it 12 games left, 11 games left? So
yeah, crazy.
I mean, the Celtics have always been, and I believe this. Brad Stevens has said it. Like it's about health over playoff positioning. So if it was that urgent, he wouldn't. I don't think he wouldn't be day to day.
Yeah,
I've had enough of the training staff. I don't think they get enough flack, to be honest with you. Yeah. You've got guys with nagging injuries, the Kemba knee, which might not be their fault. The Robert Williams, all the things he's had, Romeo, the Jaylen Brown, little things he gets, tendonitis. I mean, it's time. These guys need to be on the hot seat. I don't know any of their names, but I've had enough.
Poor guys. I mean, the Celtics have just been ravaged with injuries. You got to, most COVID as well. I mean, most games lost or missed or whatever because of COVID. It's the Celtics this year. I mean, then you question why they're having a down season.
Right, the training staff inviting them out to parties so they can mingle with the infected?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
The trading Not staff. Good. God. No, I mean, everybody's having rough seasons, though, especially in the East. Pacers, Heat, Raptors, 3 constant playoff teams all fighting for the play-in at this point, which is crazy. Celtics are in a better position than those guys. I mean,
could never
Toronto.
Be me.
Toronto that blows my mind the most. I mean, Chris Boucher's out for the season now, so they're really screwed. But I don't understand.
What's up with Lowry, though?
I don't know, man.
Did he get the memo about the trade? And then it was like, oh, I'm still here? Wait, I thought I was getting traded. Like, I don't get it. I hope that's not the case. But then again, maybe that's what the Raptors want to do. Maybe they kind of want to shut things down and figure out what their next step is in the offseason. My guess is Kyle Lowry is probably not going to be with them.
I can't imagine. I mean, what I saw, I think Ujiri commented about it after the trade deadline, and he was like, I didn't see anything I liked for Lowry, especially with the fact that we respect him so much. I'm not going to trade him for nothing, so I'd rather keep him and have him for this season. And
yeah, but why do you feel like Kyle Lowry was just like, I saw something I like? What are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on there.
I want to win a championship. What's wrong with you?
He's calling Drake at the deadline. He's like, I'm gone. See you later, bro.
Joe, Drake called him. That was wild.
Even
I'm
better.
like, this is it. He's
crazy.
Has to be leaving. Like, Drake's calling you? I don't know, man. Was it the Lakers? Was it Philly? I don't know. There's a lot of reports out there.
It had to have been Philly. That's my opinion.
Well, he's from there, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus,
So,
Yeah, he's mad.
imagine how
He's
good
pissed.
they'd be with Philly. They'd be so.
pissed.
They'd be so.
very happy he didn't go to either of those teams, though.
Kyle's trying to go back to the finals, man. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
what's going on? Get me out of here.
Sam and I disagree on Kyle Lowry. I think Kyle Lowry's a good basketball player. Sam's
He earned a
hater.
little respect for me in the playoffs after being a consistent prick for 7 games, but he's still, I don't know. To me, he's not like a over the top amazing player. You know, he's
You'd love him on this team, though.
oh, I know he would. And like that's one thing. Like
He would be such a fan favorite.
he plays hard, which is one
Between
thing.
him and Marcus Smart, man, they would be like trying to outdo each other. It would be insane. Like the backcourt defense would just be top notch. It would be like,
oh, that'd be insane. I was all for a Kemba for Lowry trade at the deadline, throwing a pick, get Lowry back on the expiring. That way the contract's up the end of season 2. I was all for it. I don't think the Raptors would have bid, but that was my hope. But yeah,
I think for Kemba it's that extra year. You know, it's tough. It's hard to trade that contract because that extra year. It's like next year and another one. It's like, oh, geez, all right. You know, like at least a team that's trying to make a push to the playoffs or a deep playoff, run. At least you can promise them, okay, yeah, the rest of this year and then next year, you're not quite sure where he's at, but all right, we'll work with that. But then when you tack on an additional year, that could just be a disastrous end of the road, end of the road of your career. What do we do with this guy just sitting on your books, over $30 million a year,
So then let me ask you, does Kemba finish his contract in Boston in your opinion? Or is he dealt?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because we've seen like the Magic have been interested. We saw Danny Ainge tried to deal him at this past.
I think what makes it so hard is that last one is not a. Oh, is it? It's not an option, right? Am I mistaken?
I think there is a player option in there, but he's probably going to take. Well, I don't know. We all said that about Hayward, and
I was just going to say, if he doesn't take that, I can see the Celtics restructuring.
Player,
but if he does,
he's got a player option. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so hard to tell, man. Like the NBA, like remember how like it used to be like every year is different. I feel like it's like every half season a team can look completely different. I mean, look at the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
I mean, when people are like, "Oh, so still have this 2-year window," and I'm just like, "Well, is it really 2 years? Because 2 years just happened if you really think about it.
Yeah.
This year, last year,
yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden, if the Celtics next year, let's just say hypothetically, right? The Celtics, if they're a 500 team, 26 games into this regular season, what's going to happen then, right? We don't know what Jaylen Brown or Tatum going to feel like. It's just so hard. It's difficult to gauge because we've seen this before. Like people don't think that just because both these guys are under contract for 2-3+ years that one of them might say, "Hey, I don't like the direction this team's going." And I'm not saying that one of them's going to ask for a trade, but maybe Brad's gone. Maybe the team blows up in one way or another. Like there's a lot of different things that can happen. And I think this season, of course, we're going to get a better understanding of that. But then, of course, next year as well. The first half of next year, because a lot of things that happened this year were out of the Celtics' control. So I think it's not fair to say, oh, well, Brad shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that. But if the players, it's all about how the players are going to feel mid-season next year and where this team is.
I think they're on the upswing. I mean, just talking about the depth that they've added, they do have to re-sign Fournier, of course, but they're in a better position than they were 2 months ago. And that's not anything about their play, just the roster they have, because they were struggling a lot because Tatum and Brown would go out and there would be no one to help them. Now you've got Pritchard stepping up big time last night, of course, but he's gotten past the rookie wall. It looks like he's kind of back to the guy everyone was hyped up about beginning of the season. You have Fournier now, who before he got COVID was shooting the lights out. I'm sure he'll be back. Parker, who's been all right, pretty decent in his debut week.
I like Jabbar. I like him.
Yeah. So you've got all those guys off your bench now. You don't have to rely on Ojale to score or even Romeo to score. When he's out there, he's really playing defense, which he's doing a pretty good job at. So I'm pumped in the way that Danny was able to restructure the team mid-season without really having to take too many pegs out. It was free, as I like to say.
Sam loves free. Sam loves free trades. And I think, Sam, what pissed you off most is all these other teams get stuff for free.
Yeah,
right?
it's about
Blake
time.
Griffin, Derrick
Celtics
Rose
got
was
some
free.
free. Derrick Rose was free. Jeez, they gave nothing for Derrick Rose. I remember last year I wanted them to try and get him just to give him bench support.
Yeah, that's the stuff
Rondo,
that drives Celtics fans crazy, man.
if they got Rondo, man, they'd be unstoppable right now. I'm telling you right now.
Because it's funny you say that, man. Because Kendrick Perkins was with us last night. He brought that up, and it's really interesting if you think about where this team would be right now if Rondo was. I mean, I think it's tough for someone like Danny to bring someone like Rondo in and make that decision because I mean, obviously it's a gamble. I think it's a risk worth taking, but maybe next year he doesn't stick around, or maybe I don't know. It's hard to say. Danny's really weary about bringing former players back. I felt that way. He's only done it once. He did it with Antoine just to trade him again. And like the one guy who called him a snake for trading him, and then he brought him back and traded him again.
Yeah, that was spite. That had to have been spite. He's like, nah, sorry, bro, you're gone.
Or maybe he just saw Rondo coming in here and just being like, oh, this guy Brad is a clown. I don't know. Like he was gonna disrupt everything.
Yeah, I don't know. You could be right.
Maybe he was afraid Rondo's gonna come and just like either clash with Stevens or tell everyone like Stevens ain't shit.
He's playing for Ty Lue. He's more of a clown than Ty Lue. Even though Ty Lue former Celtics,
and even if the Celtics get to the NBA Finals and bow out, what if Rondo's like, I'm gonna go to the Lakers now, or I'm gonna go to the Clippers now, I'm out of here. And Danny's like, wow, you came here, you made this mess, now I gotta clean it up. And I'm not sure if this team even believes in Brad Stevens anymore after what Rondo just did.
I think having Pritchard was a big reason that they weren't interested either. I think, it makes it hard for them to make room for all those guys to get minutes.
Well, Brad should play him more then. Damn it. He should act like he believes in him a little more than he does.
It would be nice to have Rondo for the Kemba back-to-back, so I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Rondo's team would have been. That would have been great. I wish that
they had him last year in the playoffs. I'm telling you, they probably win. They might win it all.
They definitely get to the finals.
Yeah.
They would have reached the finals and lost to Rondo and the Lakers.
He's got the switch he can flip. They don't have any switch guys that flip the switch.
Right.
R.I.P. Jeff Teague. He could have been
brutal for Jeff Teague.
Let me ask you guys something real quick.
We're all hyped for Jeff Teague.
Yeah.
Good signing. And
let me ask you something real
quick. He had
a
good opening night and then never showed up again.
How did you guys feel about how do you think LeBron James felt about Rondo? Because I got mixed vibes. Like I felt like it was one of those things where like you're good for the team, but sometimes I'm not crazy about like the way he's definitely your approach.
Not threatened, but he was definitely like this dude needs to get off my team.
Right? Yeah.
There's a pecking order here.
But like this guy he has a lot of pull. You know, he can really control this team. Like,
well,
this guy's got some pull.
I was listening to, I think it was the Bill Simmons podcast, and Jackie McMullen was on it, who is excellent, and she knows everybody. And she was talking about how Rondo was like talking to her and saying like LeBron was like blaming the younger guys. I think it was Kuzma for like things that were literally his fault, like a defensive like assignment, and like Rondo was like, nah, like that's not it. Like it was your fault.
Right.
So yeah, you're probably right.
Like I remember they had a actually, you know what? I think maybe that was the play. Like it wasn't even like they were getting into it, but obviously the cameras were all over it. It was him, it was Rondo and LeBron, and LeBron's like it was almost like he was like, but he did this that first, and Rondo's just like the calm, cool, collective, and just like listen to me, listen, and LeBron's whole body language was just like, yo, I don't want to do this with you right now, and like
his hands are in the air, he's incredulous, he can't
tells
believe.
Me that like. It was just Rondo on some grown man-ish being like, listen, you're in the wrong. No one else wants to tell you, but I'll tell you right now. Yeah, I see this camera guy right next to me. I don't care he's recording. Like, it was one of those kind of
Rondo
that was the vibe I got.
He does not give a shit. Which is why I think he's good for teams like the Clippers too. Because he'll tell PG and Kawhi, like, bro, what are you doing? Like
right.
Like, yeah.
Like I remember thinking LeBron appreciates this, but he doesn't appreciate this. It's like, like he's gonna take the championship and be like, man. He's gonna give Rondo props, but he's gonna like when the dust clears, can we upgrade Rondo with Schroeder? Okay, cool, perfect. Thanks, guys, appreciate it. Like he put that word in real quick. Like we're gonna upgrade Rondo ASAP, please, guys.
Let me ask you this though: if they had Rondo right now over Schroeder in these like teams without AD and LeBron, do you think they'd be better or worse? Obviously, I think Schroeder's a better player, but could Rondo lead this?
Good question.
You know what I'm saying? Could he lead this?
I think they'd be about the same. Honestly,
okay.
You know why? Because Rondo does a good job of empowering guys,
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually the story you just said about Jackie Mack is a great example of that. And I think sometimes, a player, I don't know, like a Grant, right? A player like Grant Williams, hearing it from someone like Rondo can go a long way. I mean, not just the championship pedigree, but the attitude and the way he does it. And it's like, hey, you know, I believe in you. You know what I mean? It's not more of it's less of don't do that, stop effing up. We need you. It's less of that and more of, hey, I believe in you. You can do this. Keep it going. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's something that could really help this team. You know, and its culture, if you will, its identity. Man, we've been talking about that all season. What the heck is this team's identity? The Celtics, like,
They're
I
starting
thought
to
I was
figure out
starting
they're
to see
playing
it.
defense now.
Right, like that. I
What was
thought
the
I was
final
seeing
score
it
yesterday?
in that defense, but
It was relatively low, right? Like
104, 109, 104.
104. Relatively low before free
Yeah.
For the
throws and
Nets.
stuff.
For the Nets, at least, very
for
low.
the Nets, yeah. I mean, what do they average? Like 122? Jeez.
Phoenix only had 86. Chicago barely cracked 100. They've been playing
beautiful.
pretty good defense.
That defense was, man, Phoenix is that's just that team defense. That it's not about, oh, the backcourt slacking or the front court need to know. Like, everyone's got each other's back. You know, that's the kind of defense that gets this team far. That's what Brad Stevens teams have usually been. You know, the best ones at least.
Yep.
Yeah, Nets are no longer the highest scoring offense in the league, though. Fun fact: they average 118.6, but the Bucks average 119.4, which is kind of crazy.
You sold on Milwaukee, Josue? I'm not. I don't. Here's the reason I'm not. And when I say sold on, I mean I think they can beat the Celtics because that's all that matters to me. Because the Celtics played really good basketball against Milwaukee all 3 times this year, and they lost the one game, but they were in position to win all 3 games. And the Celtics have gotten better since those games.
I think if I'm the Bucks, I don't want to see the Celtics.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about the Bucks though is like, how can they fare against the Nets? You know, like it's so hard to put them in that space with the Nets and the Sixers. Do you guys put them there? Like,
no, they're like a level below, but only slightly.
They're in their own tier.
They're still a good team.
They're still a good team, but it's just like how can that still be the case? Like, I don't know. I like the addition they made, and it obviously kept Giannis in town, but I'm still sort of surprised that they don't at least have a better record this season.
Hey, they got
very
main
happy
man Jeff
about
Teague.
Giannis.
They've got Jeff Teague. That's all that matters.
Jeff Teague.
Oh yeah, they got Teague. Oh yeah,
menace.
They even got a Celtics leftover.
Teague, by the way, averaging around 7 points, 3 assists for them on 54% shooting from 2-point, but it's a little rough from 3-point out there. He's averaging like 29%. So, but hey, he can make his layups apparently in Milwaukee better than
it's like they flipped his stats from when he was here.
Those Teague floaters.
Those Teague floaters killed me. I feel like the trading of Jeff Teague really opened up the way for Robert Williams to actually.
Maybe he was a problem.
He got lobs. Maybe
Jeff
he was the problem.
Get the right lobs, right?
He was a problem.
I think it's funny the Bucks picked him up because his debut, he went off against the Bucks.
Yep.
And I'm like, yep. See, you guys don't even know about Jeff Teague. You guys slacking on the wild veteran. He's going to be a great signing.
They're like, you guys let this guy walk? Did you see opening night?
He's playing 18, 17 minutes a game for them, which is crazy.
It can't be that good.
They can't.
If he plays the Celtics, he's going to go off.
Wow. Oh, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be irate.
It's just how it goes.
I'm going to be so mad. I just hate when guys that I saw a Reddit post the other day, and it was like guys that average 6 points a game when they play the Celtics, and it was just Curry in the 3-point contest, like making everything. And I'm like, that's facts. It's how Chris Middleton got his big deal. He started playing them in the playoffs, makes a shot from half court, and the rest is history.
He was shooting like 67% from 3. Like, that series, not a game, like the series. It was insane.
You're a prick, man.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's all the main topics I had for the day, but I do want to recycle some. Every week I give Sam some this or that questions, and I kind of want to recycle some and ask you, Josue, because I think it'd be great. Not all of them are they're not all serious. Some of them are funny, some of them are like hypotheticals, but I'll start with the ones I asked Sam on our show earlier this week. So if you could have one of these guys on the team, like this current Celtics team, you don't have to get rid of anybody, you don't have to trade anybody, nothing, you just add them to the roster. Would you take Steph Curry or Joel Embiid?
Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Sam disagreed, though. I think Sam went Embiid.
I said you'd go either way, but I just think Embiid's more of like a need right now. Like, it fills like kind of a hole, whereas you still have Kemba, but Curry.
I mean, if Robert Williams hurt. I know that sounds so crazy to say, but it's like
you bring Rob Williams off the bench, though.
But no,
yeah.
I just love the idea of having that that sort of threat. The greatest, I was gonna say arguably, but I don't know, guys. You can just take it out, right? The greatest shooter of all time.
Oh
like,
yeah,
people have been
to
saying that
have
for
that
years.
threat
It's
on
not a
this
stretch.
team. I know. I always try to keep Ray in the conversation for as long as I can because we knew. I say about a couple of years ago we knew it's inevitable, but at this point, what he's doing this year, this recent stretch of games, yo, Steph, he's just one of my favorite players of all time to watch. Honestly,
Me too. Big fan of Steph.
When I
Kept
first got
LeBron off the throne for a couple of years. Good for him.
What'd you say?
He kept LeBron off the throne for a couple of years.
That's
Kept
right.
him from winning rings.
Right. He kept Celtics fans thrilled about that.
Good guy, Steph.
When Pierce and Garnett got traded, that was the day I was like, all right, I got to sign up for League Pass now. Got to watch this. I got to watch these guys ride out their career. And that coincided with the Steph era. When I tell you at 10:30, almost every other night during the week that I was up screaming, watching Steph score like 7 3-pointers in one half one night, or drop 45 in the second half on another night, like it was must see TV. It's like tuning into your favorite TV show, and like you don't know the most thrilling basketball you've ever seen. The greatest display of shooting you've ever seen is about to happen, and then it would happen like week after week. It was insane, man. Like
incredible. He's great. All right, so Steph Curry over Embiid. Another one I got. Are you a LeBron hater? First of all, do you hate LeBron, or are you like meh?
Once upon a time. Now,
all right. So
I don't hate LeBron. I got a lot of respect.
I got you. Sam hates LeBron. So
I also have respect for him, but I think he's a prick.
But I can't never say. I have to mention that, like I used to.
Of course.
I got my nice shirt up there. Actually, I don't know if you can see it today.
My question for you: would you rather LeBron never wins a title? He gets 0 his whole career. He gets 0, or the 08 Celtics go back to back and win in 09 as well? You can have one or the other.
See, that was tailored for me.
That was tailored for Sam, but I think it's a funny question, so I wanted to bring it up again. So
can we have them win Game 7 in 2010 instead?
Yeah, sure. They can win that one instead. Then you choose that.
I'll take that.
All right. I gotcha.
You know why? That team deserved 2, man. Those guys deserved 2. Yeah. You know what? They were the better team. The 2010 team was a better team than 08. That team was stacked because guys like Big Baby, he wasn't a rookie anymore, right? You had Nate Robinson wasn't on that 08 team. You had Tony Allen 2 years removed from that. That's when Tony Allen turned into defensive all NBA defense Tony Allen, which was the big reason why the Celtics should have kept him. But yeah, man, I love that team. That's probably my you had to watch up Rasheed Wallace, but he was fun to watch. Like that's probably my favorite Celtics team, man. Honestly. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I gotta say 08, but 2010 is a special spot in my heart for 2010 because those guys, man, they deserve to win it all.
Yep. I gotcha. So my next one, this is another funny one. So would you rather that Luke Cornett has to be the starting center, and by that I mean he has to play 20+ minutes every game. He has to play 20+ minutes. Or Tatum can never play over 30.
Oh, we need Cornett starting. Bobby's gonna be pumped. Bobby Manning's gonna be pumped.
Yep.
Cornett starting.
Yep. Bobby loves Cornett. I think Sam, you went with no Tatum over 30.
Yeah, I went
right?
with the Tatum thing because I thought you could work around it. I was like, I mean, you can work around it.
That means Jalen's playing 40+.
Kemba.
Oh yeah.
He's getting the whole squad is playing a lot of
Tatum standing on the sideline with his hands on his head, like pissed he can't get back in.
Alrighty. So next one is: would you rather have prime Ray Allen, or we'll change it. We'll do prime Rajon Rondo on this team or prime Kevin Garnett on this team? I don't think I asked you this one yet. I just made this up.
You asked me about something like this, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah,
I matched a couple of questions. KG, man. Yeah. MVP KG. Oh, man.
Oh, you said Larry Bird last time, Jeff.
I did. I said prime Larry or prime Rondo.
On this team with offensive weapons like Tatum and Brown, and you know he's gonna make everyone play on the side. So forget
KG's
it.
Crazy.
Like the defensive net rating would just be insane.
I would take KG as an assistant coach on this team.
Bring him in.
Imagine him just yelling
the coach and staff.
All I imagine is like 2009 when he was hurt in the playoffs and he's just screaming at people. That would be every game.
Yeah, Grant Williams would be crying every game, man.
Oh, no. Poor guy.
But it would make him better. It would make him a better player, all right?
It would. It would make
But
him
it would
better.
suck because now there's social media and he has to see that shit all day the next day.
Yeah.
At least back then, Big Baby didn't have to, see himself crying all over social media.
That was ugly. That was ugly. But all right. So I got a couple more. This one. If you could go back and you never, I know there's more to it because it was a sign and trade, but like hypothetically speaking, you could go back and you never do the Kemba for Terry swap. Would you do it? Keep in mind contracts and everything. Terry's having a good year, which is why it's tough. And he makes significantly less money, $17 million less.
I think I still do it.
You still do it.
But my answer might change in a few months. It might change in a few months.
Really?
If he goes off in the postseason and this team goes to the finals,
okay,
your answer would change to that question too.
Yeah,
but it's tough.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's a really good question though, because Terry on this team, you think the record would be drastically different though?
I think yes, because he could play back-to-backs, which isn't Kemba's fault, but it's just reality. He could probably play better defense than Kemba, and realistically, they're very similar players in terms of the fact that they're just going to get you buckets. So I don't know. And I don't know if you could argue Kemba's probably a little bit better of a playmaker than Terry, but in terms of defense, he'd help there. He'd be healthy all the time. So I'd lean towards, at this point, maybe I don't do it, but I don't know. Yeah,
I'd say maybe plus 7 wins, maybe realistically, something like that. Yeah, which would be. I put them in really good shape right now. Yeah, I put them in really good shape. We wouldn't be talking about no playing tournament for sure. Yeah, They cannot get into this playing tournament, guys. Before we wrap up here, I got to make sure I get that out there.
Oh yeah,
they cannot go into this playing tournament. All right, 7th or 8th is not ideal. And as much as I think this team can up against some of the best teams, they can give them a good fight. You don't want to see that happen in the first round. They have to get their feet wet. If you're going to play against the Nets or the Sixers, round 2 or Eastern Conference Finals, you don't want to see them in the first round. That's not ideal.
Maybe you do want to see the Nets in the first round. I'm not joking. Like, they've got Harden out, and he's supposed to be back by the playoffs, which he 1,000% he will be.
The guy, man, that's the one I'm worried about, man. That dude, that guy can hop in there. Even a 70% Durant, not good for the Celtics team.
No, I don't know.
Just imagine what would have happened last night if he was out there.
Oh, I agree. Durant is the killer. Kyrie, it doesn't matter. If you just swapped them yesterday, the Celtics lose probably by 15.
Oh, yeah,
Durant has been killer against Celtics his whole career. I don't remember a game where he's played them where he hasn't been like the best guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember a bad Durant game. Like against any team.
Well, they lost 3 in a row against Golden State in 2016.
All right, yeah, they did.
Because I see what Sam's saying. Like get them while they're weak right now. Because they might start off a little slow in the playoffs. But yeah, with Durant, it's just different, man. He's a different beast.
You know who I want to see play the Nets? I want to see the Knicks face off against the Nets in the first round. That'd be such a great series. I would.
Knicks are balling right now, man. I like it.
I was telling Sam this last time. I love watching the Knicks. I like seeing them succeed. Julius Randle's a killer. That dude is so good this season.
I didn't know he was that good.
I didn't either. Honestly, no one did. I don't think he knew he was that good. I don't think he knew. That's great.
What he did this year made me think of what Brandon Ingram did last year. I know Ingram he had a better season, but 2 guys that I was just like, I didn't see them doing that or being that dominant, and they both did it.
Yeah, wouldn't it be crazy if they were on the same team with maybe a D'Angelo Russell or something? That'd be absolutely wild.
Lonzo Ball, imagine
Jordan Clarkson there too. Oh man, they'd have a really nice lineup, huh?
I mean, their team won a championship last year, so it's not like they're bad. Unfortunately, they're still good.
I still think it's crazy that Horford, Hayward, Marcus Morris, Terry Rozier, that was a squad. These dudes had a squad. Brown. I saw on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, someone put that up and was like, "Yo, I can't believe all these dudes played on the same team before."
They lost.
Oh no, I think it was. Imagine if all these guys were on the same team. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So they lost, like you said. That was not good. And I still will take it that they should have won that series. I don't know. Remember about a month ago, Jack, I was saying I watched a couple the highlights of that, and I was like, how the hell?
I don't know why you did that. That is painful.
It was Pat Connaughton was killing them, and George Hill was killing them. It was are you fucking kidding me? These guys are awful. Maybe not George Hill, but Connaughton. I don't even know if he gets minutes now.
He gets some. I mean, hey, Budenholzer in the playoffs will always choke, so that's why I don't mind playing them. Budenholzer, He's not a playoff guy. What was he doing last
He
year? I'm
was
sorry.
that time.
What? Okay, but against the Heat last year, you're playing Marvin Williams. Like what?
Yeah.
Why is he touching the floor? He shouldn't even sniff the court. Anyways, that's another tangent. But yeah, we can wrap it up. Appreciate you joining us today, Joe Sway, on the show. Your Twitter at Joe_Sway. Is that still correct?
That's right. Follow me on Twitter, man. Appreciate it, guys.
For sure. Thank you for joining us, Josue Pavone from CLNS Media. This has been From the Rafters. I'm Jack Simone NBA on Twitter. You can follow us at Bannertown USA on Twitter, and Sam, wrap us up.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Josue, for coming on. You are on the Cedric Maxwell podcast, which is one of the very few podcasts I actually listen to, and I enjoy very much.
What's up, man? Appreciate it.
I look
Jack almost spit out his water
every week.
Get some podcasts in your playlist, man. You got to do it.
I always listen to music, but I always listen when I go to the gym. That's what I do is I listen to podcasts. It makes the time go by fast for some reason.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing, and then I started getting more into other podcasts because I'm like, man, how can I can't be working a podcast telling people to listen to, and I don't listen to anyone else's podcast. So I got a little playlist going. So,
but yes, check out the Cedric Maxwell podcast if you don't already. It's a good listen. Follow Josue on Twitter, of course. CLNS, check out their stuff. Their people have been very nice to us, of course. Jack works with them very closely all the time. Very busy. You can follow
YouTube, subscribe, man. We got a lot of great content coming out. It's already up there right now. Check us out.
They got to talk to Perk yesterday.
Perk was a trip last night, man. Funny. It was hilarious. It'll be up there. Either there or clnsmedia.com.
Go check it out. You can follow Jack on Twitter at Jax1NBA. Follow Bannertown at Bannertown USA. If you're watching on YouTube, which we will be up on, like, share, subscribe. Definitely subscribe. I think we're almost at 50, right, Jack?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're chugging along. Nowhere near CLNS, but we're chugging along.
We're the little guy, man. You gotta fight for the little guy. But you could follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's our show for today. Bye.
Tic-tac-toe.